Aynur Tursunbayeva with guests of the studio cooks dishes of Oriental cuisine. Kazakh Life, Tagam. Hello friends. Today we will cook the Kazakh national dish, Kuyrdak. TV presenter, journalist, psychologist Gulbarshyn Zairova will cook for us by a special method. Gulbarshyn, welcome to the Tagam program. Everyone knows that our friendship with Gulbarshyn is more than 20 years old. Gulbarshyn Zairova, a journalist, businesswoman, psychologist. Favorite color, light colors. Favorite drink, Turkish kefir. Favorite writer, Bakoja Mukai. Favorite song, Siyum Sigende. Today Gulbarshyn will cook Kuyrdak with mushrooms. What products do we need for this? Basically, we don't need many things for Kuyrdak. Everyone makes it in their own way. I fry the meat first. Some fry the onions first. Let's cut the mutton. Aynur, can you help me? Yes, I can. Any kind of Kuyrdak is always tasty, but I, for example, do not really like mutton. I like only to gnaw the bones, but I like beef. That's why I like your Kuyrdak very much. You mentioned that our friendship was 20 years old, so I know that Aynur likes fatty Kuyrdak. I like to dip bread in fat. Everyone knows, thanks to social networks, that Gulbarshyn became a mother-in-law. The way your friends become mothers-in-law, you know, you're getting old too. So, on the one hand, it's sad, and on the other hand, I'm happy for you. What's like to be a mother-in-law? I haven't really felt it yet. In an incomprehensible state, the same as when we ourselves became daughters-in-law. I remember my friend Galiya Shaudubayeva was the first to ask me what it was like to be a daughter-in-law. I went to another family and adopted them as my own parents. That's it. Do you accept her as your own daughter? Are you asking me? Yes, tell the truth. I won't lie. I think these are empty words when they say we will treat you as our own daughter. They say that between the daughter-in-law and mother-in-law there is always an invisible war. As a person who knows Gulbarshyn family well, I can say that her relationship with her mother-in-law is very friendly. I wish every girl the same mother-in-law as Gulbarshyn's. Gulbarshyn passed through the school of her mother-in-law Zakira, so I have no doubt that she will become a very good mother-in-law. For 25 years, I've never seen you raise your voice. Do you know how to be angry? I do. I get angry at night when no one sees me. At whom are you mad at night? Sometimes I wonder why I don't get angry. Or am I not smart enough to be angry? Now I conduct online training in psychology. When I first began to study it, Gulbarshyn already knew a lot. Perhaps psychological lessons helped you to gain this calmness and seriousness. Yes, they do. Who was your first teacher? I studied with Natalia Pravdina's books. I never hid it. It first came into my hands when I was 22 years old. So you've been studying psychology for 20 years. Yes, I read the book and put it into practice. Now many girls are lucky, as there is information in their native language. For Aynur, for example. Did you get a lot of information? Yes, I did. Now every psychologist like you is trying to convey to our audience this information. I think our girls are very lucky compared to us. I received information in Russian language. Then I realized that the information received should be immediately implemented. How to do it? People are divided into theorists and practitioners. Perhaps I'm a practitioner. All I read, I applied in life. For example, affirmations. By the way, recently you released your own book about it. I love to read it, as once I received this information in Russian. How did affirmations help you in your practice? I'm a person who goes with affirmations all my life. You can't take an affirmation as a template. Only when you say it with love, then it's sealed in your mind, passes through the heart, and begins to work in your life. What's your favorite affirmation? I don't have some kind of constant affirmation. But I remember from the book of Natalia Pravdina, there was an affirmation, I am love. I didn't understand its meaning then. Now I understand that to live a happy life, a person must become love itself. Our meat is ready. We cut the beef finely. Now pour the oil into the cauldron. Perhaps it's good when Kuyrdak is fatty. Yes, I love fat Kuyrdak, but there are people who, on the contrary, prefer Kuyrdak without fat. Ainur and I both like it, so I add more vegetable oil. Kazakhs say, you will understand what Kuyrdak is when you slaughter a camel. So they say because camel meat is very fat. Let's start putting our ingredients. This unusual Kuyrdak consists of mutton, ribs, beef meat, and mushrooms. Gulbarshyn is a mother of 4 children. She recently became a mother-in-law. She reached the age when they become grandmothers. Among our friends, I'm not the first who became a mother-in-law. Ainur Kobasarova and Gulnur Mamasaripova's daughters also married before my son did. There are also Mirgul and Shulpan. Their children have married and they already have grandchildren. But when a close friend becomes a mother-in-law, it affects you differently. If Ainur had become a mother-in-law before me, it would have affected me. And when you become a mother-in-law, you don't feel it. It seems to be in us by nature that you already perceive everything as it is. Are there some feelings they have become mother-in-law? No. Who doesn't want to become old? It's clear that nobody. I'll put onions. Onions will be put on top. First fry the meat well for 5-10 minutes. I put the mutton, then the beef. In general, Kuyrdak is a good dish. It's quickly cooked and looks very good on the table. For example, now our children do not eat fried meat. They don't even come close to it. Children live differently from us. They have a lot of information. Our children are weak. They think that if they eat fried meat, they will definitely get sick. They must have such a prejudice. And we also think that they can get sick. We forbid them to eat raw meat and raw fish. Ainur, I think it has something to do with psychology. The more we say you can get sick, the more likely they can really get sick. There are some parents who pass a sentence like, if you don't wear a hat, you will die. I've always felt guilty about children. I thought I was a bad mother. I think all moms are like that. I got rid of that feeling about 10 years ago. No matter how many books I read, I uttered affirmations. It only helped me when I realized I was a good mother. Let's chop some garlic. I had never seen my mother put garlic or onions in the Kuyrdak before. I learned to put it through social media. I put garlic and onion too. Onions and garlic add flavor to the dish. We all love the smell of fried potatoes. If you put garlic a few minutes before potatoes are ready, the whole house will be filled with flavor. The taste of potatoes will change immediately. I usually put the garlic after the onions, but I do not adhere to any rules in cooking. As I like to do, so I do. In general, it's good to measure everything by eye. Yes, without weighing everything. I like deep-fried meat. Me too. We put the cauldron on maximum heat. Now we will put onions and garlic. Then let me cut the potatoes and mushrooms. How to cut potatoes? I'll show you. Divide into 2 parts and cut in the same way as the onion. I usually cut everything into small pieces. Probably it's right. This way the dish is cooked faster and it will be tastier. Then the potatoes absorb all the flavors of meat, onion, garlic. It will be delicious. Potatoes are coarsely cut at the restaurants. Here's some advice. If you put a lot of salt, you can add potatoes, so it will take all extra salt. Yes, potatoes have this property. What other advice can you give? In fact, if I go into the kitchen, it's a big celebration for everyone. If I cook something, my younger children try to capture it on video. I don't think I'm lazy. I know we lived in the same dorm. So you know, I used to cook a lot. We never bought bread. In the first 5 years of my marriage, I baked it myself. Did you bake the bread yourself? Yes, I did. By the way, I still remember you made Turkish porridge for breakfast. It was delicious. I used to fry vermicelli. I remember you used to add cheese and cooked it with milk. I learned to cook it when I worked at the Turkish department. I had friends, Aylin and Pınar, and they taught me how to cook it. But my favorite dish is cheese soup. It's delicious, quick to cook, and costs less. It's good when there are dishes that are quickly cooked. For that soup, we finally chopped the chicken. Next, we fried in olive oil. Then fry finely chopped onions and carrots. Next, fill with water and in the end, add the cheese. Is that all? Yes, it is. Everyone adds potatoes at their discretion. If you wish, you don't need to add it. We put carrots. Now we will mix our meat with onions and garlic.
Етіміз қуырылып жатыр, майға. Пиязбен араласып, үстіне сарымсақты қостық. Сарымсақпен енді бір 2-3 минут бетін жауып тағы.
And close the lid for 2 or 3 minutes. Usually when I cook Kuyrdak, I do not turn down the fire. Doesn't the meat get tough? No, it doesn't, because it will be cooked in its own juice. Until all the juice has evaporated, the meat will not be tough. We pour water only when the meat is well roasted. So while you have the juice, the meat will not become tough. That's a good advice. Otherwise, we always thought that you need to turn down the fire so that the meat does not become tough. This will happen only when the juice evaporates. Our meat is well done. We roasted mutton ribs and beef for 15 minutes. Now we can put mushrooms. Some people eat mushrooms instead of meat. We mix the meat with the mushrooms.
Бір 2 минуттай, 3 минуттай тағы да осының еттің өзінен шыққан сөліне, нәріне бастырып аламыз қазір етін жауып. Мен өзім қуырған саңырауқұлақ.
I like to fry mushrooms with potatoes. That's why it's a great idea to add mushrooms to the Kuyrdak, so it will seem that you have a lot of meat and the taste will be unusual. Yes, when you fry mushrooms with meat, you get a very unusual taste. Yes, when the dish is ready, decorate it with thin rings of onions. I will stir the meat. We never turned down the fire, didn't we? Yes, we didn't. Let's add salt by eye. It turns out during cooking, I do not weigh anything. But if you have salty meat, then be sure to check the taste, to not oversalt the dish. And if the meat is not salty, then half a teaspoon will be enough. Previously during cooking, my mother always twisted the cauldron. I was little and could not reach the stove, and thought when I would also twist. Thank God I lived up to these days. For you, it was a kind of visualization of your future. We put onions, garlic, mushrooms, and now we will put potatoes. Now stir again and fry under a closed lid for 2 to 3 minutes. Let's get some water. Yes. We haven't started to turn down the fire yet. After adding the potatoes, we will fry it a little and then start to reduce the heat. Taking this opportunity, I want to sincerely thank the company Astana Cihaz for supporting the filming of this program. Today, our guest is a TV presenter, philologist, journalist, psychologist, Gulbarshyn Zairova. She cooks for us the Kazakh national dish Kuyrdak, using her unusual recipe. Stay with us. How many minutes left to the readiness of the Kuyrdak? There are 10 minutes left to complete the cooking. We haven't turned down the fire yet.
Енді астын басамыз.
We'll stir it one last time and turn down the heat.
Соңғы рет бір араластырып аламыз да енді астын басамыз.
Will you help me with this?
Енді бұдан ары қалдырсақ.
If we don't turn it down now, the bottom may stick. We roasted for about half an hour, didn't we? We did not lower the fire for half an hour so that the meat would secrete its juice and it would cook in it. Now we'll add some water. I usually add cold water. Why? I think the meat will become tough after adding hot water.
Тез қайнап кете ма? Сол үшін салқын суды құямыз. Су әбден қызып кетем дегенше өзі сіңіп. Көп емес, кішкене ғана осылай.
We'll stir a little and turn down the heat, don't we? Yes, we will. There are 2 to 3 minutes left before the dish is fully cooked. Taking this opportunity, what other advice would you give to our girls? I'll tell you one recipe. If you have a cucumber in the refrigerator at home, then you can make a pickled cucumber out of it. To do this, put the cucumber in a plastic bag. Put the cucumber in a bag. Add 5 or 6 cloves of garlic, dill, and salt. Then stir, wrap the bag, and put it in the refrigerator. It will be ready in 6 or 7 hours. Do we need to add water? You don't need to add anything. In this form, after 7 hours, it will be a ready pickle. A talented person is talented in everything. You're on TV until the evening, then on the radio, writing Instagram posts, running your business. I wonder when you still have time to learn such useful tips. You're flattering me. Why don't I know about this recipe? When you came home, you tried it. You just never asked how to make it. I thought you salted that cucumber like you always do. Dear viewers, be sure to try to cook it, and we will begin to put Kuyrdak.
Biz kuyrağımızı sala bastayız.
First, you put the ribs, so it will be easier to take out the dish from cauldron.
Кедергі келтірмес үшін әрі безендіруге де ыңғайлы сүйектер астында кетсе.
Usually when you're fasting and you see the dish, your mouth starts to drool. Now perhaps men who are watching our show are already calling their wives to cook them Kuyrdak. Because Kuyrdak causes appetite in any person. Getting to the most important point, what do we do with the remaining juice? Let's pour it on top. Yes, we will pour this remaining juice on top and let's start decorating Kuyrdak. I think the real Kuyrdak should look like this. I know that in the West it is cooked without potatoes, onions and garlic. It might be tastier, but as a person who loves potatoes, I like this version more. This is our southern version of Kuyrdak. Our special Kuyrdak with mutton, beef, and mushrooms, according to Gulbarshyn's recipe, is ready. Stay with Tagam program We wish you abundance. See you soon.
Мереке кетпесін. Келесі кездескенше.
Gulbarshyn, thank you for coming to us. Thank you too. Enjoy your meal.